bringing you episodes with suggested repertoire for all kinds of singers and occasions, from children and tweens to celebration and festive repertoire to enjoy in your studio. And in some of these episodes, we've mentioned songs that might be particularly helpful for certain technical challenges. But today, we're going to go one step further. We've previously had a conversation about some of the considerations and challenges around repertoire. Whose responsibility is it to select the repertoire? Is it appropriate for the singer's age? What about diversity, culture, and context? Is accompaniment available? And then there's the sheer choice overload. But today we're going to zoom in on a particular consideration: technical mismatch. And more specifically, how do we actually take snippets of songs and use them to help build the technique that we're focusing on with our singers? Because sometimes there can just be a bit of a gap between doing an exercise and actually recognizing that same coordination and feeling when we return back to song. Roll the titles. What do I mean by technical mismatch? Well, perhaps you can relate. A singer brings a piece of material to the session that they really want to work on. But as we get into it, it just seems that technically it's a little beyond where they are right now. Or it seems to avoid areas that you both know would be very beneficial for them to explore. Or perhaps you're working on something for a particular functional need, and the exercises are going really well. But when you move into the singer's current repertoire, there just isn't an obvious enough opportunity or a clear segue for them to experience that same thing. So this is where I like to bring in something that I think of as work songs, or little sections of songs that we can use as just another stepping stone in this progressive nature of our technical training. We're not necessarily learning a whole song for a performance. We might only need to borrow 4 bars or 4 lines or even just 4 notes. Of course, another option is to use, borrow and manipulate the repertoire that we are already using that the singer has brought to session. For example, when I'm working with singers cross-genre training in musical theatre, I've sometimes asked them to sing a pop song with a legit approach, particularly those singers who err towards a contemporary favourism. Firstly, it's a bit of fun. Secondly, it gives them that opportunity to consider, what would I actually need to do to execute that authentically? But if we want to find repertoire that serves a particular technical purpose, how do we know which snippets are actually going to be useful? This is where doing a little bit of analytical detective work can really help. We're essentially asking, what does this piece of music ask of the singer? And does any of that resemble the coordination I'm trying to help them develop, and which aligns with their goals? So we might look at range. What's the lowest note of a song or passage? What are the highest? Where does most of the song sit? Its tessitura. Then we have melodic content. What intervals are we dealing with? Does the melody ascend or descend? What are the dynamics, the rhythm, the key and tempo? And then there are the technical demands. Are we hearing more adducted or abducted qualities? What register behaviours are required? Are transitions smooth, or does the style actually invite an audible yodel flip? What are the breath demands? Which vowels are we singing on? How are the consonants laid out? Does that particular vowel or consonant combination make the coordination we're looking for easier or harder to access? And then some of the stylistic considerations. What kinds of textures are present? What happens at the onsets and offsets? Which vocal qualities actually make the style be presented more authentically? Are there riffs? And if so, do they ascend or descend? And how long are they? Does it require vibrato? And of course, there are going to be some styles which are just that little bit more forgiving of the artist changing things up and making it their own. But once we start looking at songs in this way, we can build our own bank of repertoire snippets to just pull out. The next bit requires a little bit of a scene change. To the piano. Welcome to the little corner of my studio at home, and behind me you'll see this pink neon sign that says sing, which I've then dressed in some lovely foliage, and I tell you now, it was a bitch to put up. Hashtag DIY. At our BAST Summer Intensive in Manchester this year, I gave a little talk on this subject about using repertoire to help us build our technical skills. And I used Ben Platt's Runaway. as an example because there are so many different technical things that we can use it for, and also because I saw Ben Platt in Midnight at the Never Get a couple of weekends ago at the Many a Chocolate Factory in London, and I'm simply obsessed with that man's pipes. Runaway is a song that is inspired by Ben Platt's own parents' love story, and it becomes this promise to a romantic partner about commitment. And musically it has this lovely lullaby-esque feel to it. If we're thinking about all of those contextual components, then the character is of a narrator, and there are themes of love, family, romance, loyalty, and partnership. The lyrical content is clean. The vocal range sits approximately between a G3 and a C5, with much of the tessitura around the C4 to F4 area. We hear some stronger belt-like qualities up towards a G4, and melodically there are some favoured perfect fifths and fourth intervallic movements. We've also got some longer breath phrases at times, yodel-like flips, riffs, aspirate qualities, as well as more abducted singing. So there's loads we could play with here. But we're going to take the first verse into pre-chorus for one specific challenge. So I actually encourage you to pause me right here and just go take a listen to the song. It's from the album Sing to Me Instead, written by Ben Platt, and in a second I'm going to be using some piano chords taken from one of my favourite resources, Ultimate Guitar Tab. So the snippet that we're going to take goes a bit like this. They've been at school, that's how it goes. Some drinks and then a rose, and plans to meet again. He wrote her poems, songs and prose. She knew that he'd propose. She only wondered when. Imagine that we're working with a singer who tends to yell or grip or increase effort as they approach an F4. Around this upper area of functional chest voice for many singers. This passage of Runaway can be really useful. Why? Well, because rather than having to climb towards the F4, the phrase starts right there and moves down. That means the singer can experience beginning on that higher pitch immediately without also having to navigate and negotiate the anticipation and perhaps increasing effort that sometimes comes along with an ascending melodic line. But how does that all fit into a progressive bit of training? Well, let's walk through it together. The singer has presented their song and in their own language have reflected on that and are feeding back that it feels a little bit squeezy or strainy or inflexible, whatever language that might be. And you've also noticed through signs and symptoms that perhaps the larynx is raising a little bit unhelpfully, that we're favouring a chest dominant sound, which is giving signs of not wanting to share the load. Everything's getting just that little bit yelly and some intervention is required. We might choose a 5-tone descending, an F consonant to counteract some of that squeezy press that they might be feeling or using, and a slightly darker vowel of O to tackle the potentially unhelpfully raising larynx as we ascend in pitch. Instead of giving all of that information to the singer straight off the bat, we can actually ask them, what makes you feel a bit fed up or bored or disappointed, or what does this sound like to you? What emotion would that be? Guiding them towards a dopey quality. And let's say they come back and tell you that, you know what, they just really don't like changing the bed. Then we say, okay, you're saying the number 4, on a scale, imagining that that's what you have to do right now. You have to make your bed, change the sheets and get tangled up in all of that fabric. Then we might get 4, 4, 4, 4, tweak or change or give a completely new exercise. That's fine. We could get them to do 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4. Just that phrase. Then can we segue that over into lyrics? 4 men at school, that's how it goes. 4 4 and then a rose. 4 hands to meet again. And when that feels secure, easy and free and conscious, maybe then we can just try and recreate that same coordination and feeling, but straight away on the lyrics. The great thing about Runaway is then the pattern that it asks of us towards that pre-chorus. We then have to reascend. So in our exercises, if we've just done this, 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4, we can then progress that into 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4, and ascend back in the same controlled, coordinated, unpressed, flexible, non-draggy way that we just descended. 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4 4. Then we can take the lyrics away. Maybe it's he wrote a poem, songs and prose. She knew that he'd propose. She only wondered when. 4 4 4 4 4 4 4. Progressive, progressive, progressive. The important thing is we haven't necessarily selected Runaway because the singer needs to perform Runaway. We've selected a tiny bit of it because the music gives us the behaviour we want to explore. Once we know what we're looking for, we can find other repertoire that offers something similar. Here are some examples of snippets from other material that offer a similar idea for a scenario like this one. We have Vienna by Billy Joel. Slow down, you crazy child. You're so ambitious for a juvenile, but then if you're so smart, tell me why you're still so afraid. We have Make You Feel My Love. I'm using the Adele version. When the rain is blowing in your face and the whole world is on your case. We have one that we've mentioned a couple of times in our episodes, which is Budapest by George Ezra. The chorus, which descends like this. Give me one good reason why I should never make a change. Maybe if you hold me, then all of this will go away. And lastly, we have I Can't Make You Love Me by Bonnie Raitt, which starts like this. Turn down the light, turn down the bed, turn down these voices inside my head. The goal isn't to build an enormous collection of clever song snippets that become vocal exercises forever. We want to transfer the skill back into singing, of course. But there might just be one tiny section of a different song that gives the singer exactly the experience they need today to help progress them technically and into more repertoire choices. So the takeaway from today isn't, here are 5 songs you should use for these 5 technical problems. It's listen to repertoire for the opportunities hidden inside it. As always, we love hearing your ideas. So you know the drill. Drop a comment or send us a message. But that's it from me. Until next time. Hey you! If you're enjoying the Singing Teachers Talk podcast, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We are committed to bringing you engaging conversations and valuable insights from experts across the field of voice. By subscribing, it means we can continue to do that. You'll never miss an episode, and you'll be helping to spread the word to other singing teachers, vocal coaches, and overall voice nerds. So subscribe to this channel now and just watch your teaching grow.